It is your boy Black Ronin, back on at it again with another banger and fire video for y'all's out there today. There, y'all. Welcome on back to the channel. But guys, shout out to this YouTuber right here. Yeah, we be watching each other content. Shout out to to the Sage of the Six Packs. Shout out to him because he had dropped a video recently today. Talking about why some men on Body Game, they still get nervous and have anxiety when talking to women. And, that really gave me an idea about a good strategy that you should do. In my personal opinion, that works for me. And I think it might work for a lot of you guys as well. I admit, guys, like even I get nervous at times too when I go out there and just go speaking to people because we live in a day and age where like it's very easy to be labeled as creepy and you don't want to come off like that. And, you have to be very subtle at the way you do things, especially if you a decent looking dude, attractive dude. Like, you got to move a little different. Like, don't get me wrong, you definitely got more leeway than a lot of other men, but, still know how to move in a way that just, what's the word? That just comes off as very inviting. So that's what I recommend us do if you're not the most like outgoingest person, but you still got to put yourself out there as a man. And just yeah, talk the woman, and best believe, guys, your confidence is definitely going to come over time the more you do this. And when it comes down to rejection, listen, that's a part of life. No matter how awesome or how good you think you look, you're still gonna get rejected. In fact, there are some women that might reject you just because they're not even near or on your level. So keep that in mind too. A woman can like you and still not, want to be with you. I hope y'all know this, but anyway, so my personal thoughts, if you on Body Game, you working out, but you're not the most socializable person, which I ain't gonna lie, I understand why that happens. Because as a man, like if you grew up naturally not really fitting in anywhere, because that was me growing up. I was never that dude that really fit in like that. So for me, it's a double-edged sword because at the same time, you come off as more authentic, like if you have confidence with yourself, like you're going to naturally attract people, towards you. People can sense very easily like that you move different. You move a certain type of way that nobody can like literally nobody can replicate. So that's good for that reason. But at the same time, in terms of putting yourself out there, that's what people like us can tend to struggle at. But this is the way that I've been doing that really has helped me get better with women. And just going out there and talking to them, getting approaching them. Because, yeah, I'll get approached too from time to time, but it's better as a man to go put yourself out there and go talk to the woman that you actually want. But, yeah, like it's just going to make dating become a lot more better. But, yeah, so if you're a guy that's on the shy side, got a little bit of anxiety, this is what I'll recommend doing to go talk to women. So the best place that you can do to get, like in terms of get out there and to go talk to women, is go to the grocery store. In fact, I'm about to go to the grocery store later on today, try to go pull me some women. I've been on the content creating and just been grinding so much. I've been like, wow, I haven't made time to go talk to people, go talk to just get out there and go talk to new women, So get out to your grocery store. Heck, on your day off, just spend a day and just go to different grocery stores. Fake like you're going to buy stuff, right? But don't actually buy them. I mean, like, unless you need to buy stuff. But, but this is my strategy. I go to the grocery store. I go to the cereal aisle. I don't know why. I always meet the most beautiful woman in the cereal aisle, next to the oatmeal, or either the produce section. The produce section and the cereal aisle is like the best areas of the store, like to just talk to woman, in my personal opinion. So I go up there and I just look for the woman that I automatically like. I like to go for older women that just would just naturally, I just like more. That's just my opinion. Don't get me wrong. I still go up and talk to, women in my age range. But I don't know. Something about older women, they just turn me on a lot more. That's just me. But anyway, so I always go for the woman that I want. And let's say if I see the type of woman I'm looking for, okay. So I go up there. I don't just walk up there directly. I'm always looking around, kind of scanning the area, very aware of my surroundings. You need to really pay attention, making sure that there's no dude that's going to come out the blue. Because sometimes, it might be a dude around the corner that might be your boyfriend, husband. Pay attention. You a dude step into another woman, be aware of those things, because yeah, like give it a little few minutes. Like don't spy on her, but just stick around in the area. So stick around the area, like glance around, trying to figure out, act like you're trying to find a product or something. All right. So you're in the produce section. All right. No other dudes around. Nobody's approaching the girl. And she's still in that area shopping. She's not on the phone. She's minding her business. She looks pretty happy too. That's another thing too. If a woman looks happy, that's a really great time to go ahead and approach her. Think back in the day when, at least this is my strategy, when I used to try to ask my mom for something, like whether it be a little bit more on my allowance or whatever back in the day, when I used to stay with them and everything. But, when I used to go ask for mom for something, whether it be for money or, a certain like a type of snack or something, I always like to get my mom when she's happy and, just like, really happy or just like good news or whatever. That's when I like to tell my mom stuff and really just talk to her. Cause, like that, like you notice how when a woman is happy, everything else tends to go pretty smoothly. So keep that in mind too. So you see a woman happy, and if you see a woman, in peace and she doing her own thing and she shopping at the grocery store, that's the best time to approach her. So I get over there. I get around the area. I'm just scrolling on through. Let's say she's by the, we'll say like the vegetables. So maybe she's grabbing some sweet potatoes. You come around that area, you see sweet potatoes and regular potatoes. So you pick up both of them and fake like you trying to like make a recipe. Like let's say fries or something. And, just come up with something like, let's say, hey, I'm debating on, so walk up to her, got the sweet potatoes in hand, be like, hey, excuse me, I'm trying to decide between making this particular recipe. I'm stuck between either going with sweet potato fries or regular fries. It's like, or just a combination of both. But at the same time, like it's like I really do like both, but it's like, I don't know, like I'm stuck between the two. But which ones do you think is more healthier? I'm also on a diet as well. Do you think sweet potatoes is more better in terms of more health, or do you think regular potatoes is a better choice? In terms of which one I would get more better nutrition out of. So something like that along those lines. And if you're coming in with the mindset of just asking a question, it becomes a lot more easier to start and flow that conversation a lot more easier, in my opinion, and she's either going to respond would be like, oh, I don't know. If she says, oh, I don't know, you can still be okay and still shoot your shot. Cause I still pull women like that as well. But for the most part, she said, oh, I don't know. She kind of keep it pushing, still try to shoot your shot, but you see her trying to, like scurry away pretty quickly. Then she probably don't like you. But if she actually stayed and she's like, oh yeah, you know what? I would say sweet potatoes are definitely more nutritious. And she might say something, well, maybe looking at your frame, I can see that you're trying to you're trying to put on a little bit more muscle a little bit, I would say sweet potatoes would be a bit more, definitely probably the better route for you. Regular potatoes ain't bad, but it's just a simple conversation like that, you can start off with. And it all start with potatoes, so after she tells you everything, be like, oh yeah, thank you so much. You take the sweet potato, and then after you finish the conversation, you ask, oh, excuse me, by the way, my name is Al. What's your name? And oh yeah, she says her name, and then you'd be very, very cool and polite, be like, well, I just want to ask real quick, are you single? And hey, it just like that. She'd be like, oh yeah, I'm single. And then just be like, hey, take my number down. Now this is just me. I just never ask for a woman number. I always just have a woman take down my number, shoot me a text. I don't know why, guys. That just works better. You know, like I don't be asking girls for their number. I just be like, yeah, take my number down, shoot me a text, and we'll go from there. And for the most part, it works. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Like, yeah, guys, if you see a woman that you like and you're more nervous on there, like it's okay. Cause like guys, like I admit, like I can be kind of socially awkward at times. I ain't gonna lie. But when you do see the type of woman that you like, definitely I feel like the grocery store is unmatched because it's in an area where everybody needs something, like you gotta shop and like yeah, like you'll meet you'll meet some cool people at a grocery store. And I didn't know this until I started to do sales back in the day. When I did sales for an internet provider, not going to say their name, but that really built my confidence a lot. Just cold approaching and talking to different people, trying to get them to buy internet. And I ain't gonna lie, like I got so many choosing signals from women, and I was just like, dang, if their job didn't tell me, to stay professional at all times, man, I could be pulling so many women just from doing internet. So, once I learned that, I said, oh man, the grocery store is really the best place to communicate and talk to women. So I would go to the grocery stores. That's the best place. I feel like the most beautiful woman is there, hands down. And it's just an environment where everybody's needs something, but at the same time, you can get creative and start asking questions and be like, hey, excuse me, I'm trying to cook something. Have you ever cooked this before? You ever cooked with this ingredient before? And you can just spark up a conversation like that. That's how I like to do it, because I ain't gonna lie, man, just going out and just cold approaching a woman just right off the rip in front of, like, just out of nowhere. Don't get me wrong, I have done it before. If you're calm, cool, and collective with it, and you can sense the energy, off that woman, then yeah, it'll still work. But I prefer, if you're a more nervous, introverted type of dude, try to spark up a conversation with the woman first. And excuse that plane flying by. Spark up a conversation with that woman first, and then go from there and try to, ask her out, get the name, get the number and all that stuff, exchange information, and go from there. I noticed that works a lot more better. But hey, y'all let me know what y'all think. Would y'all try that in real life? I think it's probably the best way. Now I ain't gonna lie, nowadays, especially where I live, I really have to move around. Like when I go to the grocery store today, I'm probably gonna go to the one on the northeast, cause I ain't gonna lie, man, it's been like, I don't know what's going on lately, but the closest grocery stores I've been going to, it is nothing but like obese people. Like, guys, it's like barely any fine, beautiful woman. I'll be looking around, I'll be like, where are they? And it's just like, geez, like, where are they? So I don't like. And then on top of that, my homeboy was telling me too, because back home in Florida, that's where I used to live. Now I stay in a small area of Texas. So out here in this little area, it really ain't not a like really good looking woman out here like that, And dudes out here, they don't know what a really, really good looking, attractive woman look like. That's how I know they ain't been nowhere. I'd be like, man, if you been to Florida, you seen what was over there. Like, you have to have self-control when you live in Florida. Like, it got so bad. I like that. Like I got fat because to get the attention off of me back when I lived in Florida, But out there, here where I'm at, I say, oh no, nah, it ain't nothing but bitbacks in a lot of these different areas. And it's like, seem like every year people just getting fatter and fatter out here in this little area of Texas. So I'm looking clean, smelling good, and I'm on body game as well. So, you do have to play around with different grocery stores, but that's really the best areas I'll recommend if you're trying to find women and stuff. So the grocery stores is a good one. The mall ain't too bad. I mean, the mall is iffy. I feel like the most uppity people be in the mall, so that depends too, but it's not a bad option. It just depends on which one. So, play around with different locations, parts of towns that really, suit you. But you got to move around and really find areas that really like that really suit you. But yeah, so that's what I would say. So if you a man and you on body game, hey, 100% y'all, like you need to like go put yourself out there. Like I ain't gonna say it's easy. There are times where, like if y'all see a woman, y'all like, oh wow, but listen, still go for it, cause you just never know. You just never know how that can go. There has been plenty of women that I have gotten that I don't even know how the hell I pulled. Like I said, back in the day when I used to work at the movie theater, hell, that's when I pulled all the women. At the movie theater, that's when I pulled the baddest of the baddest women. And that was back when I worked at the movie theater, back in the day. I was on body game. My confidence came up on point. I was really showing out there. And it got to a point my confidence got so high, customers, they seen how cool and professional I would just I just always was at the workplace. People always thought I was a manager or something. I'd be like, oh, nah, I ain't no manager. Like I didn't even realize I even had that type of aura on me. But, people were sensing it. I didn't even realize I had it, So, but yeah, even when I was at the movie theater, one time I had pulled a Mexican looking Scarlett Johansson looking type of woman. Looked just like Scarlett Johansson, but Mexican version. And she was like, I think she was like 45, 41 or 45. I can't remember. Yeah. I think she was 41. Looked it good. But yeah, like, even though it didn't go nowhere, but I just went for it and I did it so smooth too. She was ordering popcorn and I just had a good conversation. How your day doing today? I just, after a while, you just know how to flow it after a while. Even if you're socially awkward, you can still manage to do it, So if you get really good with your words, you're going to do pretty good with women. But also just reading the room, man, reading the energy that's in there. If you in a place that feels calm, feels relaxed, you see people just vibing, that's the best time to talk to different people. But that's all I gotta say. It is your boy Black Ronin. Like and subscribe, share. Let me know what you guys think. Y'all take it easy.